This is the Sports Timeout Podcast with Tony Caranco and your host, Wes Underwood.
It's that time again, everyone. Welcome to the Sports Timeout Podcast, brought to you by Blondie's Woodfire Wheelhouse Food Truck and Kraken Cajun Seafood House in Joplin. Just call 417-434-5717 for Blondie's Woodfire Wheelhouse to make your reservation today for some good pizza. Or, if you're in the mood for some fresh Cajun, where we're at today for today's show, head on over to Kraken Cajun Seafood House in Joplin, across from Moe's on Main Street. Wes Underwood alongside Tony and Tristen. Welcome back, fellas. Ready to get started?
Yeah, man.
All right. First up, we'll go ahead and talk NBA and the Chicago Bulls. The Bulls are now the 2 seed in the East, but are very low on players due to injury. Caruso, the latest to hit the list with a fractured wrist, and Levine is out, and he's probably going to be back within the next couple days, and Lonzo, he's out, and Green and Jones are all out as well. And I mean, the question at hand is, will they fall? And for me, my answer is no. This is a perfect time in the season for you to lose some guys and let injured players come back slowly and play. I mean, if you play 500 ball, you still got Kobe White, Nikola, DeRozan, and Thomas. I mean, you still have a good, decent core there to go out and win and let other guys rest. All-Star break's coming up. Perfect time to lose some people. I mean, second half of the season has yet to begin, so agree here or disagree?
I agree that they're going to, if they keep on winning the important games up to the All-Star break, excuse me.
The easy ones? Yeah.
Okay. I think as long as, because they are struggling with the lack of depth that they have, but if they keep winning the important games, I think they might be in the playoffs later this year, but who knows?
Yeah.
We haven't even got to the All-Star break yet, so I guess we'll see.
Well, and Wes, like you said, it's just, it's the perfect time for them to get, injuries, even though injuries are never perfect, but there's never a perfect time for them, but...
Especially the 4 to 6 week ones.
But on top of that, another perspective is that it's going to build the other players that don't get as much playing time.
Yeah.
And it's going to, get them ready for a little bit further down the season.
Mm-hmm.
They could solidify their team and be really good, and then they will have a little bit more depth now because they're a little bit more developed, play ball with each other a little bit better. And at the end of the day, they'll be a better team for it.
Yeah, exactly. And on that, we'll go ahead and go into the MLB, and we talk Hall of Fame, and, well, this one's got my blood boiling a little bit, and I'm sure other baseball fans out there as well. And I mean, Ortiz gets in, Bonds, Clemens, and Sosa. Mark McGwire do not. Ortiz, I get as Big Papi, but he did use PEDs in his career, and if that's how we're basing these other guys, I mean, then why did he get in? Do you agree here? We'll start Tristen.
I think I'm in the same boat as everyone else and kind of don't understand the reasoning behind it. And I've got a couple of reasonings why they should be in the Hall of Fame. Is because how many games are in a full MLB season, not counting the playoffs? 164?
Somewhere around there. I think they just reduced it this last year, but back in those days, 162, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you're playing 160-plus games a year. I mean, your body starts to wear down, and, you're not, by the end of the season, I mean, you're not any good for the playoffs. So and that kind of sounds like an excuse I'm giving to the players to use steroids. It's not good to use steroids, but in Bonds and even A-Rod's defense, I mean, the 80s and 90s are one of the prime time decades for baseball because of those sort of players hitting home runs, breaking records. And, I mean, the MLB made a lot of money off of these guys because more people tuned in the 80s and 90s to watch these guys play.
Yeah.
So it kind of, a lot of hypocrisy in the MLB for doing that. And, I don't understand why, because Barry Bonds is one of the greatest athletes of all time in any sport.
Agree.
And PEDs or not, I mean, he made history, and he made a lot of money for the MLB in the process. So I really don't understand.
And what's really crazy is some of these banned substances are now legal because they've seen that they help the guys. And anything to weigh in on here, Tony?
Yeah, man. I in my opinion, the only sports that I don't believe any sort of PED should be allowed in is any sport where there is any sort of physical fighting.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Because besides that, I mean, even in football, man, I mean, one, it's probably going to help prevent injuries, is going to, allow for better performances. And if they're monitored and, within reason, and they're not, I don't think that there's anything wrong with it.
Okay.
They're athletes, they're adults, as long as they're not, that's a risk that they're willing to take, man, let it happen.
Yeah, I completely agree. And now we'll go ahead and head over to the NFL. And, I know Mike McCarthy isn't quite on the hot seat yet. I mean, they did have that loss there, but you never know. And with things the way that Jerry thinks, it could happen. But what brings this to the show this week is a photo I saw on Twitter, and Shaquille O'Neal actually went out and reposted it and everything. And that's why not bring Deion Sanders in as the next big coach in Dallas. I mean, I kind of agree here. I mean, what he's doing down in Jackson State, he's a guy who could bring in some people who would not want to come to Dallas to play for prime time. The guy who made his career in Dallas as well as San Francisco too. But who wouldn't want a guy like that as their head coach?
Man,
high intensity.
It's such a different ball game though. Like college and pros. I mean, I gotta understand. They're high level. Both of them are high level, but he has to learn how to walk.
I mean, wouldn't you want to wear that Super Bowl ring though?
No, of course I would. But I'm just saying, I feel like just because he has a name, people are just wanting to put him in that head coaching spot whenever he really hasn't proven himself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
So he needs a couple more years at Jackson State.
Yeah, and he needs to do something at Jackson State, even if it's not like championship level stuff, but he needs to be able to compete. And within 4 years, if he doesn't have a national championship or at least in the playoffs, then he's probably not the right guy, because he just recruited the number one recruiting class of this last year.
Did, yeah.
So by technicality, he should be at least in the top four by the end of the season in 4 years.
Okay.
I think he's still unproven. I would love to see him do good. Don't get me wrong. I just think he's unproven.
Tristan?
Well,
Dallas fan here, guys, by the way, so.
Yep. Well, to answer your question, and kind of to go off kind of what Tony was saying, Deion Sanders still has a lot to prove, especially with getting the number one guy out of the ESPN 300 class this year.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of proof still, and to agree with Tony, I mean, he's got. Let's see what he does in the next couple of years. I wouldn't necessarily say, I mean, that would honestly give Mike McCarthy a pretty good timeline that in the next couple of years, if nothing's changed and at least we don't have gone deeper into the playoffs in the next couple of years, then yeah, I think there needs to be a change. But
okay.
I think Mike McCarthy is still getting started, and I mean I've got a lot of faith that he's going to end up turning around next season.
He's no Jason Garrett.
No, definitely not. And but man, they've got him and Dak have to get on the same page. That is one thing. I mean that last play
that ruined it.
Yeah, that last play. I really don't want to talk about it, but yeah.
In your defense, it was the referee. Hold it down, man. Hold on.
Well, on top of that, I think McCarthy, I don't think he's a bad coach. He's
got a Super Bowl.
He has a Super Bowl, yes. And then on top of that, man, it's one season. He took them to the playoffs. They competed very well at times. But when it came, it's just really a young team if you really want to think about it. I'm just saying young because it's the first year Mike McCarthy coaching there.
Okay, yeah, agree. Next up in the NFL, lots to talk about again. After last week's game for Rodgers, where do you think the QB ends up? He doesn't want to rebuild. Stated that. Not staying in Green Bay. Wholeheartedly believe that. He doesn't want a non-contender either. obviously. So here's my thoughts. I mean, I think he's done in Green Bay, as I just stated. That ship has sailed. Now I see him going to the Raiders, especially if Harbaugh becomes the coach there. And, I mean, if it happens, I see Carr going to Pittsburgh instead of Aaron Rodgers. And another story I thought would be pretty interesting to see as well. I mean, Carr going to Pittsburgh would be a pretty big deal. He could potentially be Big Roethlisberger or Big Ben Roethlisberger caliber there. I just almost called him Big Roethlisberger, so, I mean, what's the difference? But anyway, I mean, you could see that happening. And I also see Rodgers going to Indy. I mean, they're a QB away from winning, in my opinion, to going into the postseason. I do blame that on Wentz and lack of preparation. And then I see him going to Denver or Tennessee. I mean, those teams just need a couple of pieces. And, I mean, if it takes Tannehill going to Green Bay to ruin their system too, I don't know. But I do see Rodgers out of Green Bay, and those are my potential destinations. Tony, agree here? Do you?
I'm really hoping he goes to Pittsburgh, but that's just because I'm a Pittsburgh fan. But yeah, I can see him going to either. I can see him going to either the Raiders or the Steelers.
Okay. Yeah. Tristen?
I wouldn't necessarily say that he would go to the Raiders. I think if you take Derek Carr out of that kind of system, I mean, next year, for my fellow Raiders fans out there, next year I think you guys are going to the playoffs behind Derek Carr, and I think this offseason is going to tell a lot, especially with Aaron Rodgers. Pittsburgh is a good fit, I would say, but you kind of also got to think, how long is Jimmy G going to stay in San Francisco? I mean, that's also a pretty good potential spot. Straight trade Jimmy G for Aaron Rodgers. I mean, that's a good possibility. So I see San Francisco being one of those.
And Harbaugh was just a rumor to the Raiders. I think they've already got their guy, and they've found him. We'll pay attention and stay tuned over the next couple days, if not coming out this afternoon with that information. So, yeah.
Antonio Brown to the Ravens.
Could be. Lamar Jackson likes him.
Nobody else does.
Did you see the picture that he posted on?
I did. It was interesting. That. I mean, his cousin's there, so it makes sense. That could be a potential threat of a trio, really. I mean, Lamar Jackson, so, yeah.
Honestly.
And next up in the NFL, we head to the championships, and we bring back former Chiefs defensive back Eric Warfield. How are you, sir?
Just a little congested, but other than that, I'm doing pretty good.
That's good. Congestion's a good thing. I mean, it's better than everything else you could get, I guess.
That is true. I am COVID-free.
That is very good news. And, here we are, AFC Championship, and, I mean, you were one of the ones who kind of called it, and we talked back in Week 8, and you said that fans needed to tone it down a little bit, and, I mean, one, they were saying that our season was done, and two, I mean, stop heckling a few of the players, and, those players stepped up, and you were proven right, so congrats on that call. Much appreciated, and glad you stuck in there. I was one of the doubters, I'll admit it, but now the Chiefs' biggest concern goes to a team that beat them here a few weeks ago, and more recently. I mean, my question to you is, do you think the Chiefs' defense can stop Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow?
Yes. Can we stop? Well, I would say yes. Can we contain them? Yes. Stop? No. These guys are professional athletes for a reason. I don't know of a situation where a particular guy or duo has been stopped. But you can contain them to where they don't unleash as to what they did the first game or a few weeks ago against us.
Indeed, and along with that, kind of adding to the fire on Burrow's side, kind of give advantage to Kansas City here on that as well. I mean, you have Joe Burrow coming out saying that Arrowhead is not a loud place, and it won't really affect him. I mean, do you think he'll eat those words, or do you think he can prove the people wrong because of everything he's been through in the SEC and going through those stadiums? I mean, yeah, they're fairly loud, but I mean, they're not 142.2 like Arrowhead, and Arrowhead's built that way. So, I mean, do you think he'll be eating those words?
I just think that for the most part, he's up against a better team. He'll be up against a more prepared team that won't show him the same passing defense that he saw before.
Okay.
On the other side, he won't have the support of his own fans. So yeah, our fans will definitely have an effect on him with the noise crowd or whatever. Yes, there's a lot. I think the SEC has the most stadiums that hold 100,000 more fans. So
yeah.
that's pretty darn big when you consider trying to play in front of an opposing team. So is he prepared for the moment? I've been a fan of Joe Burrow since he left LSU. Dude's a damn good quarterback, and he's done a pretty good job for his team for what they drafted him for.
Yeah.
Even on the season, he's had a pretty good year. To bounce back from the injury that he had last year. So give credit where credit's due. It's the same. Like we went up against a hot Bills team the week before, and Josh Allen is proven that he is an up-and-coming great quarterback. But I just think that at the moment both teams will face a Chiefs team that's picked up the pieces of what people thought weren't going to be there.
Yeah.
I know you mentioned earlier in that segment that you kind of lost faith. Week after week with our podcast, we do predictions, and no matter how bad the teams play, our podcast always pick the Chiefs to win the next game.
Yeah.
And that's just if we continue to lose, and if we're losing today, I would still pick the Chiefs to win, because I do think, and we have seen that the Chiefs are a better team. And the one thing that kind of that I hate is when you get to watching certain programs, ESPN, they show you what teams where they rank their team, where they rank their quarterbacks, where they rank their players. Who's going to be the team in the playoffs and probably represent the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes down to it, hardly any of those teams are there. And
very true.
it's just a matter of, you being patient, because we don't know who's going to be there. Now, us being loyal Chiefs fans, we're going to always root for our team because we have a little bias towards that team. But we also know the strength of this team and the potential of where it can be. And so even with the few losses that we had to start the season out with, even with the interceptions that we had to start the season out with, or the crappy play of the defense, we still have faith in this team that they can get us to where we are right now and more.
Well said. And with that, lastly, if you kindly would, your predictions for the AFC and NFC championship games, who you have going to the Super Bowl?
San Fran and Cincinnati are both of those, I wouldn't call them Cinderella teams, but very talented teams that have got farther than they were expected to go in their conference. But I think both of them have run up against, I guess you want to say the ultimates in the Chiefs and the Rams, and I think it'll be their final call. So I think the Super Bowl will be represented by the home team of the LA Rams and Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay, you heard it here, folks. Super Bowl predictions from Eric Warfield, and we'll get the guys here in a second. But first off, we want to thank you for coming on and hope you have a great rest of your week.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on again.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too. Again, that was Chiefs former cornerback, Mr. Eric Warfield. And fellas, now it's your turn. Super Bowl predictions. Who you got here?
Like who makes it?
Yeah.
I'm going to say, just like him, the Rams and the Chiefs.
Okay.
And really, the reason I'm saying is because I'm really hoping for a really good game, like how they had back in, I'm going to say 2018.
Okay.
Whenever it was just a season game. It was in LA. The highest scoring game.
Like the Smoky game because there were fires everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was weird.
Dude, but it was such a good game. We talked about how the Bills-Chiefs game was probably one of the better games of all time.
Yeah.
Which I would agree.
Man, that was a good game.
It was a great game.
Treating ourselves to Kraken Cajun this week, too, because of that, and I'd like to put that out there again. I mean, he made the bet last week, fellas,
I did.
And ladies and gentlemen out there.
Well, it was an excuse to come out and eat here because I love the food.
Hey, it is good.
But congratulations on that, by the way.
Appreciate it.
But what I was going to say is, yeah, I mean, it was just such a good game that a few years back, they're super explosive offenses. I think it'll be just as good of a game as his last week's, if they do make it.
Tristen, you? Yeah.
I'm with Tony on this one, but at the same time, I'm a little conflicted because I really do want to see Joe Burrow get to a Super Bowl and possibly win it, but also, you kind of got to think here about what's probably going to happen. More than likely is it's probably going to be the Chiefs and the Rams. And hopefully we, just like Tony said, hopefully we do get a game like we did back in 2018.
Who would you rather see with a cigar in their mouth going to the Super Bowl? Cocky Joe Burrow. Or Andy Reid, who will give everybody free barbecue.
Well, he's never given me free barbecue.
Or chocolate cake.
Or chocolate cake.
I mean, have you been up to the celebration in Kansas City?
I'm not going to.
So, I mean, come on.
I was talking something.
Enjoy. Pittsburgh's done for a while.
Unless they get Rodgers.
I mean, it's possible, I guess. But
or if Rodgers retires.
That's not going to happen.
That won't happen, yeah. Not yet. He already said that. He already said he's not, so. But what did you think of retirement speech by Ben?
I honestly didn't watch it or listen to it. I know he said that he was great. He's a super grateful football player. Man, I'm grateful for what he did.
Okay.
What he accomplished.
Yeah.
But man, he should have retired 2 or 3 years ago, in my opinion. But good for him. I think he was always competitive.
Yeah. I'll go ahead and go opposite of you guys here. I'll say the Chiefs, but I'm going to say rematch and do Jimmy G going up against Patrick Mahomes. 49ers work their way in there somehow again. Debo Samuel goes off in the conference championship, and we got the 49ers and the Chiefs rematch. So,
I think that's also a really good possibility because I feel like a lot of people, including ourselves.
Tristan, you gotta jump on one bandwagon here.
Well, like I said, I'm very conflicted because I think a lot of us, especially us three here, are not giving the 49ers enough credit.
I just did.
Yes.
I gave it to him last week, didn't I not, Tony?
I'm hopeful that the Rams win.
Yeah, man, dude, about that game, man, that was one of the worst games.
I don't want to talk about it.
One of the worst games this season, in my opinion. It was, it was tough conditions. I get it. I'm not holding anything against either team, but man, it was just a bad game. Man, Aaron Rodgers really should have won that game. But.
All right. Well. On that note, we'll now head to the local sports update brought to you by Jefferson's, where they have something for everyone in the family. Go join Billy and his crew this new year for some good food. And we'll start with high school boys basketball tonight. The Webb City boys will be on the road at Springfield Catholic. Game is set for 7:15 p.m. tip. Then we head over to Carl Junction as they will play host to Lebanon tonight. Tip there is set for 7:30 p.m. And now we travel up to Carthage as they will play host to Nevada tonight. Game is set to start at 7:30. As for the girls, Neosho will head to Mack County. They will play at 7:30 tonight as well. Then we head down to Seneca as the Carthage ladies will travel to play the Lady Indians. The game is set to begin at 7:30 p.m. And now we travel up to Glendale as the Carl Junction Lady Bulldogs will take on Glendale. Tip is set for 7:30 p.m. also. As for the Webb City Lady Cards, they will head to the Laker Lady Shootout in Camdenton. Times will be announced later today, so look out for those. And lastly, we head to the Lebanon I-44 Ladies Classic up in Lebanon, Missouri. And, Joplin will take on Troy Buchanan, and times for this will be posted later today as well.
Also, the Webb City wrestling team will have their senior night this coming Tuesday. And not sure who they host.
Yeah.
But it starts at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
So go out there and support your local wrestlers.
Go for it, yep. love to see our wrestlers get acknowledged on the show. We'd love to have some on in the future as well. So if you're listening or know anybody, give them a shout out and we'll bring them on and talk.
Okay.
And we will now head into the 2-minute warning brought to you by Trackside Burger, now under new ownership. Go check them out today and get the chicken cordon bleu burger, which is a beef patty topped with Swiss cheese, Canadian bacon, chunks of our house-fried chicken, and a garlic butter bun with your choice of fries or onion rings. And, this week in the 2-minute warning, we bring in Missouri Southern women's basketball guard Brooke Stauffer. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Not too bad. And, let's go ahead and get started. You guys start the year off 0-2. What went through all your all's heads after everything, losing 2 close games like that back-to-back?
We knew it was the beginning of the season, so we just told each other to keep doing what we're doing, and eventually our team chemistry was going to flow like it has been lately.
It's good, and you all follow that going 6-0 in your next 6, and then lose a heartbreaker to Central Missouri. Win 1 more, lose 2, and then now y'all are on another 6-game winning streak, and this streak is stirring up some talk as, you all take down number 2 Fort Hays State and number 14 Nebraska Kearney. Huge wins as y'all near the end of this season. Is it 1 game at a time mentality now, or are you guys wanting to come out atop the MIAA? I mean, I know that's kind of a weird question to ask on top of that, but still.
We have... Our coach keeps preaching to us to have 1 game at a time, 1 step at a time. We even narrow it down to 1 possession at a time.
Okay.
And our end goal is to be at the top, but even top 3 puts us at a good spot for a regional bid.
Which is kind of funny because you guys are currently number 3, by the way, and big congrats on that. So
Thank you.
Good job, no problem. Glad to see it as a Missouri Southern alum here. So, and leads into our last question. You guys play host to Northeastern this Saturday at 1:30. What is something you all want to see from the community as you guys get a push towards a possible number 2 seed if everything goes well? And
I just want to see more people come out, get loud in the gym. The gym's been quiet lately. I don't know what's been going on, but I just want more support and everybody to keep coming out.
I mean, I know I'm bringing 5 this week, so that will help out a little bit, I hope. And we appreciate you for coming on, and best of luck to you guys this season. And, hopefully have you on towards MIAA tournament time.
Thank you.
And that is Brooke Stauffer. Again, you can catch them in action this Saturday at 1:30 p.m. at Liggett and Platt in Joplin. And the men will follow. As for Pitt State, the women will play host to Rogers State today at 1:30 p.m. also. And the men will follow in that as well. So kind of typical there for MIAA action. So, and of course, all these games and events are pending to weather and the current and fluid COVID-19 situation. So tune in to each team's social media pages for times and updates. Well, the music's here again, and it's the end of another episode for Tony, Tristen, and myself. Have a great and safe weekend, and enjoy some sports. Lots of local action going on tonight and tomorrow. Make sure to check out those Missouri Southern Lion ladies, as well as the men, as things get started at Liggett and Platt at 1:30. So, if you're looking for something warm to do, head on over to Missouri Southern. They would love to have you. Guys, have a great weekend, and take care.